Good morning. One of the great themes in the Bible is about being a good neighbour. And actually during this last 12 months, when we have largely had to stay home, being a good neighbour has been one of the most important aspects of community life. Because although we cannot mix with one another, we still need to be good neighbours, looking out for each other, being aware of people's needs. And there's been some tremendous examples of all of that during this particular period of time. Now, in the story of the Good Samaritan, of course, we hear about the man who fell as a victim to some robbers and was beaten cruelly, with hardly a breath left in his body, and everything he had was taken from him. And it's a cruel story. It's the story that Jesus tells. And the big challenges here is who would go to his aid, who would look out for him, who would look after him. And it turned out in the end it was a Samaritan person. Now, a Samaritan person was a natural enemy of the man who was robbed, and yet he was willing to do that task, to get his hands dirty, to care for that person. And what Jesus was in a sense saying here, he was asking this very important question: who is your neighbour? It's not just the person who lives next door, but it's the person you come across as you're walking along the street, or the person who's nearest to you at that point in time. We all hope that someone would look out and look after us if we were ever in need. And essentially that has to be reciprocated by the way in which we live our lives, that we may just be that person who is called to be a neighbour to those in need. There was a song that we used to sing when I was at school, so it's going back a little way, but it was called "When I Needed a Neighbour, Were You There?" When I needed a neighbour, were you there? That's a challenge, isn't it? A big question that I think God asks of us all. And it's a question that we need to continually ask of ourselves. When someone needed a neighbour, was I there? God bless you and have a wonderful day.